You have dreams that refuse to leave your mind. You can clearly picture the life you want, the success you hope to achieve, and the person you believe you could become. In your imagination, everything feels possible, yet when it's time to take the first real step, something inside you stops. You hesitate, delay, and quietly promise yourself that tomorrow will be different. Then tomorrow arrives and somehow you repeat the same routine again. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. Many intelligent, creative, and ambitious people live inside this frustrating cycle. They know they are capable of more, yet they struggle to make themselves act. The painful part isn't that they lack ability. It's that they can see their own potential slipping away while they remain stuck. This isn't because you're lazy or incapable. It isn't because you're missing talent or intelligence. What you're experiencing is a psychological pattern that your brain has strengthened over time, and anything the brain learns can also be unlearned. Before you can change your behavior, you have to understand why your mind keeps pulling you away from the life you actually want. Most mornings begin with hope. You wake up believing that today will finally be the day you start working on your goal. Maybe you'll launch that business, study for your exams, finish your project, exercise, or finally begin writing the book you've imagined for years. But before you've even started, your attention is captured by your phone. You check one notification, then another. A few minutes quietly become an hour. Suddenly half the morning has disappeared. You tell yourself you'll begin after lunch. Lunch comes and goes and now you feel tired. You decide tomorrow will be better because you'll have more energy. Then night arrives, bringing guilt, frustration, and disappointment. As you lie in bed, you replay the entire day, wondering where the time went. You promise yourself that tomorrow will finally be different. But when tomorrow comes, the motivation has disappeared, and the cycle starts all over again. After enough months, or even years, you begin believing this is simply who you are. But it isn't. What you're experiencing is an internal conflict between two powerful systems inside your brain. One part of you dreams about growth, achievement, and purpose. It imagines a better future and constantly reminds you of what could be possible. The other part cares only about keeping you safe. It wants comfort, certainty, and immediate relief. Whenever your goals require effort, uncertainty, or the possibility of failure, this protective system becomes active. Your brain evolved to avoid pain long before it evolved to chase ambitious dreams. Thousands of years ago, this kept human beings alive. Today, the same mechanism often keeps people stuck. The moment your brain detects difficult work, it searches for an easier reward. Social media, entertainment, gaming, endless scrolling, and small distractions provide instant dopamine with almost no effort. The uncomfortable feeling disappears, and your brain rewards itself for avoiding discomfort. Every repetition strengthens the habit. Eventually, avoiding your goals feels automatic. The tragedy is that while your brain believes it's protecting you from temporary discomfort, it's also preventing the future you desperately want. Every day you choose comfort instead of action, you reinforce the identity of someone who avoids challenges. Every evening you criticize yourself, you strengthen the belief that you're incapable of changing. Those beliefs become habits, and habits quietly become your identity. Most people think their biggest problem is a lack of motivation, but motivation has never been reliable. Motivation is an emotion, and emotions constantly change. Some mornings you'll feel inspired, while other mornings you'll feel exhausted. If your progress depends on your feelings, your progress will always be inconsistent. Successful people don't succeed because they feel motivated every day. They succeed because they've built systems that continue working even when motivation disappears. They rely on routines instead of emotions. Another invisible trap holding you back is perfectionism. You imagine success so vividly that anything less than perfection feels unacceptable. You convince yourself you'll begin once you've found the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or the perfect version of yourself. But perfect conditions never arrive. Perfectionism isn't really about excellence. It's fear disguised as preparation. As long as you stay in the planning stage, your dream cannot fail. Inside your imagination, everything remains flawless. The moment you begin, reality introduces mistakes, criticism, uncertainty, and setbacks. That's exactly what your brain wants to avoid. So instead of risking failure, it convinces you to keep preparing forever. Deep down, many ambitious people secretly fear discovering that they aren't as capable as they once believed. That fear becomes stronger than the desire to succeed. Remaining in fantasy feels safer than testing your abilities in the real world. But there is something far more dangerous than failure. It is never trying at all. Failure at least teaches you something. It gives you feedback, experience, and information you can use to improve. Inaction teaches nothing. Every successful person you admire has failed repeatedly. They faced rejection, embarrassment, mistakes, and setbacks. The difference is that they kept moving forward. They understood that success is rarely the result of one perfect decision. It is usually the result of hundreds of imperfect actions repeated over time. Momentum is created through movement, not through thinking about movement. That's why waiting until you feel ready is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Readiness is often the result of action, not the cause of it. The truth is that you will rarely feel excited about doing difficult work. Most meaningful goals involve boredom, frustration, uncertainty, and effort. Your brain will almost always prefer the easier option. That's why discipline matters more than motivation. Discipline is simply the ability to act despite resistance. Every time you take action when you don't feel like it, you teach your brain a powerful lesson. You teach it that discomfort is not dangerous. You show it that effort doesn't need to be avoided. Over time, this changes the way your mind responds to challenges. But this process only works if you start small. One of the biggest reasons people fail is because they try to transform their entire life overnight. They create unrealistic plans, demand perfection from themselves, and then quit when they can't maintain it. Real change happens differently. It begins with one small action repeated consistently. Work for 15 minutes. Write one page. Read one chapter. Make one important phone call. The size of the action matters far less than the consistency of the action. Small steps repeated daily create momentum, and momentum eventually creates transformation. At first, discipline feels uncomfortable. Your brain will argue with you. It will offer excuses and distractions. It will tell you that today isn't the right day, that you're too tired, or that you deserve a break. You must learn to recognize these thoughts without obeying them. The goal isn't to eliminate resistance. The goal is to act despite it. Eventually, your brain adapts. What once felt difficult begins to feel normal. The resistance becomes quieter because you've taught your mind that the work is no longer a threat. Your environment also plays a much larger role than most people realize. Many people blame themselves for lacking willpower when the real problem is the environment they've created.